we'll keep adding to the body count of the current situation. I don't have the graphic up, but the county around Las Vegas is currently, and this is pretty close to what the national numbers are coming out to, at double the child suicide rate. And they're like, oh, well, we can't say it's because of lockdowns and being out of school, but I mean, we've got one change in the last year versus the year before.
Yeah, and everything we know about child psychology would indicate that
we're social animals.
Yep.
We are social animals. We need it. And as a child, you have developmental stages. Oh, don't get me started on the developmental stages, because we got the trans issue too. Developmental stages where things are more important than others. Who's to say 5 years from now, colleges accepting kids into college are going to be like, well, your 11-year-old was in a state where they didn't open schools during the pandemic, versus this person was 11 in a state that was open in this important time, especially for things like reading and arithmetic and things that need to be coded in your brain with repetition. Again, brainwashing, repetition. Mm-hmm. Repetition could be a good thing if it's for a positive result. I got to be careful how I say that, because Time magazine says they were giving the positive result, but repetition is a good thing when it comes to learning, and especially at that age, you have developmental stages. Well, socially, you have developmental stages too, and you need these brain chemical releases, or you start looking inward. No 9-year-old should be leaving a freaking suicide. I'm trying not to cuss on this one. Freaking suicide note that says, "What's the point?" And he did it after the day he got the news that they weren't reopening that next year. And no kid should be even thinking about what's the point. Yeah. They should be thinking if little Tim is going to play with him tomorrow, or sorry, this one hits close to home. Okay, you want compassion, you want liberalism. Yep. Everything, infinite resources. You can understand that and still be limited. It's still be liberal. So your compassion is also a resource, and you pick where you put it. And you want to say, oh, you're killing grandma by opening the schools? No, you're killing the freaking kids. Mm-hmm. And as adults in the room, I'm speaking to you, teachers union, as adults in the room, we do things as adults and take risks for our children.
And here we are coming up on almost a year since all this started. Here we are in the end of February. March is when it started to pick up steam, and when lockdown started to happen. So almost a year of this after 3 weeks to flatten the curve, and we're not allowed to talk about it. The narrative doesn't let you ask questions. And at some point, I think maybe it should have happened after 3 months when we were told 3 weeks, but at some point we have to raise our hands and say, hold on a second. The cure appears to be worse than the disease. And you look at the job numbers, you look at the child suicide numbers, just those two by themselves should be enough to say, okay, hold on. No, we have to do something. We have to do something completely different, because this isn't working. Not only is it not working, but this is bad.
Well, this is having an excess death number. Yeah, mm-hmm. That excess death number can be attributed to COVID because of those other increases as well. Adult suicide's up too. How many people lost their job? They were on the verge of depression, and now they're gone.
If you're already kind of on edge, if you're someone who's already on edge and you have a trigger like this, then I feel like you can absolutely blame it on, it would have been great if that person would have gotten help before then, but the trigger was the job loss, and that's I think can absolutely be blamed on that.
Mm-hmm. Well, and everybody goes, what were they thinking? Yes, I'm in the camp that says suicide is selfish. But at the same time, I also understand that, they weren't thinking.
Yeah.
Very few people think, you know what, this is a good idea to just end everything permanently. They weren't thinking in that moment. And that's what you brought up. The key word was trigger. A lot of people are right on that edge. And for a freaking 9-year-old to be on that edge, we've got a lot of things building up to that. And I bring up the critical theories. If we notice, if you look through everything in our complex system that is society, everything that is touched by this is getting worse. And that includes our school systems because it's huge in the education departments.